Welcome all to the third lecture in our three lecture video lecture series of properties of material. Today we will go through our remaining mechanical properties. First we'll start with the mechanical property, that is toughness or tenacity. Toughness or tenacity describes the amount of energy a material can absorb without breaking. This is opposite to the brittleness. Here with this diagram we can see if this is material A and this is material B, and we have to find out which material is that has more tenacity and has more toughness. Then from this we can understand the material A has more tenacity than the material B because it can absorb more energy as compared to material B. We measure a material's ability to absorb shock in toughness. Toughness may be considered as combination of strength and plasticity. So we all discussed in earlier lecture, that is lecture number 4.2, that strength is the ability of material to withstand any pressure or any force without failure, and plasticity is ability of material to undergo permanent deformation when a force is applied without regaining its original shape. So combination of this property is nothing but your toughness. As you can see, the material has absorbed the shock or force that is applied to it without breaking. The examples are copper, steel are extremely tough, but cast iron is a less tough. We'll discuss why cast iron is less tough than the copper and steel in our unit number 3. Now next property is hardness. Hardness may represent the ability of material to resist scratching, abrasion, cutting and penetration. Now I want you to look at this picture. Here this picture is showing a mobile with a screen guard. We all are using mobile smartphones right now, and we all have a screen guard for our display of our mobile. So this screen guard is there to avoid any scratches or any aberrations or any indentation on your mobile screen. So when we talk about the various uh, scratch guards such as Gorilla 3, Gorilla 4 scratch guard, here we are talking about their ability or their property of hardness. So hardness is nothing but a measure by which we try to find out the resistance provided by material to any wear, that is to scratching aberrations. Because there are several methods of measuring hardness, the hardness of material is always specified in terms of a particular test that was used to measure this property. Rockwell, Vickers or Brinell are some of the methods of testing which we will look into in our coming lectures. So as you can see, whenever you talk about hardness, just keep in mind the scratch guard that are used for your mobile displays. They are nothing but a good example of a hardness provided by a material, which is nothing but ability to resist scratches. Now next is hardenability. Don't confuse this with the hardness. Hardenability is the capability of a material that is to be hardened by heat treatment. Here as the figure shows, material is hardened, that is the properties of materials are changed when it is subjected to a heat treatment or application of a heat energy. So here the it is nothing but a measure of a sample's resistance to the indentation or scratching. So as we have discussed, hardness is a measure of sample's resistance to indentation or scratches, but in case of hardenability it deals with the hardening of a material using heat treatment. Hardness is associated with the strength, while hardenability is connected with the transformation characteristic of a steel. So as we have discussed, in case of hardness it describes the ability to resist scratches, and in case of hardenability it describes the transformation of a material or transformation of characteristic of a steel or a metal. Next is brittleness. Now brittleness of a material is a property of breaking or shattering without much permanent distortion. Brittle failures are caused by high tensile stress, high carbon content, rapid rate of loading and presence of notches. Brittleness is opposite to the property of plasticity. Brittleness, a brittle metal is one that breaks or shatters before it deforms. White cast iron, glass are a good example of brittle materials. Generally, brittle materials or brittle metals are high in compressive strength but low in tensile strength. Example of such materials are glass, cast iron and concrete. So here is in In this figure we can see this is a glass or glassware. Now when a pressure is applied or force is applied to the glass, we can see it first what happens is it gets shattered or it gets shattered in some places, and after we keep on continuing the application of force, these cracks will lead to a crumbling of the glass, and finally the glass will break into small pieces. This transformation nothing but which is showing a brittleness of a glass, that is ability to get deformed, fully reeling into a small pieces or shattering into different small pieces. Next property is fatigue. Material subjected to a repetitive or fluctuating stress will fall at a stress much lower than required to cause a fracture under steady loads. So here in case of fatigue, uh, like unlike in case of strength or in case of brittleness where the load is applied only once, in case of fatigue the load is applied multiple times. The amount of load is definitely less but the frequency of load is higher. It means you are applying load continuously, small loads but applying continuously. So this behavior is called as a fatigue, and it is distinguished by three main features: loss of strength, loss of ductility, increased uncertainty in the strength and service life. Fractures usually starts from small nicks, scratches or fillets which caused a localized concentration of stress. Failure can be influenced by a number of factors including size, shape, design of a component, condition of a surface or operating environment. Stress relaxation is the phenomena in which deformation tends to loosen the joint and produces a stress reduced. So here we can see this is our object. Now we are applying a cyclic loading, that means a load is applied after every few seconds or after every few minutes continuously. The value of load or the magnitude of load is less as in case of strength, finding out strength ability or hardness, but the frequency is more. So we are applying the load after a particular interval of time. So after some time there will be some fracture appeared in the metals. We'll keep on applying the load and ultimately we can see there will be a cut appeared on the metal, and finally the material get deformed. So in this way this process is in all called as a fatigue. So material, when we are talking about materials property, that is fatigue property, it is nothing but material when subjected to a repetitive or fluctuating stress will fall at a certain stress much lower than the required to cause a fracture under steady load. So here the load required, let's say it's of 50 Newton, which leads to this fracture and ultimately leads to deformation of material, which is definitely way less than the strength of the material, that is the maximum load this metal rod or this material that can withstand. But due to the cyclic loading the fracture occurs and material gets fail, or there is a failure in a material at a load very low than its maximum capacity. Next is creep. Creep is the permanent plastic deformation of material when subjected to constant stress or prolonged loading, usually at a high temperature. So, unlike in case of fatigue where the load is applied cyclic manner, that is after continuously after some interval of time, in case of creep the load is applied for a longer time. There is no cyclic loading, but load is constant pressure is there for a longer time, and this process is carried out at a higher temperature. Creep leads to fracture in a material at a static stresses. In gas turbine blades, consideration of creep is important. So similarly in case of creep, the process is applying load constantly, but the same load applied for a longer duration and temperature is higher than the room temperature. Next is thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity is the intrinsic property of a material which relates its ability to conduct heat. Heat transfer by conduction involves transfer of energy within material without any motion of material as a whole. We have seen this in our day-to-day life. We can see how our spoon that is placed on a water container or on a gas or on a stove gets heated after a few if we place it after for a longer time. So this thing happens due to the conduction of heat from the utensil to the spoon that is used for stirring. Thermal conductivity is defined as quantity of heat Q transmitted through a unit thickness L in a directional normal to the surface area A due to unit temperature gradient under steady state condition when heat transfer is dependent only on the temperature gradient. So in a simple word, it is nothing but thermal conductivity is nothing but a quantity, that is amount of heat transferred from material to material having a unit area A, which is depends totally on the temperature gradient, that is its initial temperature and its final temperature. The formula for thermal conductivity is thermal conductivity is equal to heat into distance divided by area temperature gradient, which is QL divided by AT. Here in case of this figure you can see this is our initial phase of a material when heat energy is applied to it, and this is the thickness of the material. So this much is nothing but the L, that is the distance the heat has to travel. This the thickness L, that in this direction the heat energy has to travel this much distance, and at this surface end surface we will find out our temperature 2. This is temperature 1, this is temperature 2. As we know, temperature 2 and temperature 1 will give us the temperature gradient, that is difference between the temperature T1 minus T2, and using this we can calculate the thermal conductivity. This table shows the thermal conductivity of various material ranging from air at 0 degree Celsius to copper. Next is electrical conductivity. Like in case of thermal conductivity, here we will discuss about the conduction of electricity through the material. It is a property, that the electrical property of a material owing to which the electrical current flows easily through the material, that is material provides an easy path for the flow of electricity through it. So in case of thermal conductivity we are looking into the transfer of heat. In case of electrical conductivity we are looking into transfer of current through the material. Electrical conductivity permits the movement of electric charge from one location to another. The number of electrons in 1 centimeter cube of metal would be of the order 1022. So here with the figure we can understand with the type of the material that is used, the electrical conductivity is different in case of different materials. Next is thermal coefficient of linear expansion. Here, when thermal energy is added to a material, a change in its dimensions occurs. For example, if a 10 centimeter long rod of mild steel is heated, it's increasing in length. So we have seen this in many times, that if we try to heat a steel rod and we pull it on both sides along its length, then the length of the metal rod will increase. This is nothing but the called as the expansion of material, and the thermal coefficient that obtained from that expansion will be the thermal coefficient of linear expansion. It is the phenomena of thermal expansion, and the property of material responsible for this is known as the coefficient of thermal expansion. When heat is added to most matter, the average amplitude of atoms vibrating within the material increases. This in turn increases the separation between the atoms, causing the material to expand. So here when the heat is applied, the heat is get transferred to the atoms present in the material. With this heat the atoms get energized and they start separating from each other, which leads to ultimately an expansion of the material. Here the coefficient of linear expansion for various material is shown in this table. So this concludes all the mechanical properties that we have to study in our mechanical engineering materials unit number 1. I hope you guys have understood all the mechanical properties. Go through these mechanical properties one by one and try to find out various key points in these mechanical properties. All the MCQs question are mainly focused on these mechanical properties depending upon their definition, as well as some application based question will be there. We will go through this with our test number 1, which will comprise all the unit number 1 points. Thank you.